study group. So you'll hear straight from the horse's mouth what all business data analytics is all about. And of course, that's really Dr. Sharma's, that's her role. That's what she does day in and day out. So, we got real expertise for you today. So if everybody would like to say hi in the chat and tell us where you're coming from, where you're joining us from, we certainly like to hear. I see some great names that, common names that are here. Isis Phillips, is one of our chapter leaders. I saw Bill out there as well. So,
hello.
So there's Bill. Of course, he's from Louisville. Yes, I did turn everybody's mics on, so you are able to speak as well.
Hi, this is Lee Aker. I'm from Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Hi, Lee.
Oh, is that Lee? Okay.
Hello, this is Amol Srivastava. I'm from India.
Hello.
India. Welcome.
Yes, yes.
What time is it in India?
It's 10:30 at night.
10:14, okay.
10:30.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you guys are 10.5 hours ahead of us until forward 1 hour in the spring, and then you're only 9.5 hours ahead of us. Yeah.
Oh, only 9. Okay, so at least it's not 11.
Yeah, right.
Well, I hope you enjoy this and that.
We also got Chris from Toronto, Canada.
We got Toronto. We got Delaware. We got Florida.
I'm Veena
South Florida.
From New Jersey.
New Jersey?
Yes.
I see Linda just got here. She's from Colorado.
Got someone from Botswana.
Really?
Cool.
Yeah.
Is that in the chat? I can't follow all the chat. Pennsylvania. Yeah, Barcelona. Calypso. So, okay, well, welcome everybody. We're absolutely happy to have you here with us. So you see we have a rolling marquee there of some basic information. George and Dr. Sharma certainly will tell you a whole lot more as we go forward. So they have a lot of information for you. So I will just move right on, introduce them and let them take over in that. So first, let me introduce Kathy Lee from President Bluegrass Chapter. And did you want to say anything, Kathy?
Not really, no.
Welcome.
But other than hi, everybody. Hope you enjoy this. I think it's going to be really useful and very interesting.
And please always feel free to provide some feedback. So as you know, Bluegrass and Southwest Michigan Chapter have come together and collaborated on putting together a business data analytics study group. South Michigan have provided that this year. We're joining them for next year's agenda. So George Bridges is currently the president of Southeast Michigan Chapter. He runs his own consulting company there in Detroit. He has the certification in business data analytics, so he already has that. He can give you, firsthand information all about the experience and the exam. Joining him is Dr. Neeraj Sharma, who works for Bridges Consulting there in Detroit as a data analytics. So this is something she does day in and day out. The two of them are the instructors for our upcoming study group. So let me now turn this over to George and we will.
And thank you, Kathy, for allowing us to participate with your chapter. We are certainly excited about the participation. And I've been working with Aaron for how long now, Aaron? It's been over 5 years. Yeah, in some capacity in the IIBA. So we've worked together quite a bit. So thank you guys for joining on your Friday at lunchtime. Hopefully this is going to be a good session for you. So I will start off, and then Dr. Sharma will come in. She's going to present part of the material that we have for you today. I just got my certification in June, and I'll tell you a little bit about my journey, about how to prepare for and get the data analytics or business data analytics certification, which is what you guys are here to hear about today. So again, thank you for joining, and let's get started. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the certification and the benefits of the certification first, and then why get your CBDA. Always important to know the why behind something. That's what we do as a business analyst. We need to understand why so we can come up with the best solution. So looking at the business data analytics certification, what are the benefits? What are the benefits to you, and what would be the benefits to your organization? And then we're going to review a little bit about the content, the certification content, what's included in the certification in terms of the material that you need to know about. That's going to be covered by Dr. Sharma. And then she's going to cover that. We're going to give you some references, the material that you need to get your hands on in order to prepare for the certification. And then we'll give you some, she's also going to do some exam tips, prep and exam tips. Well, I'll give you that. And she's going to go over some sample questions that we are going to show you that will give you some idea of the types of things that you need to look for when it comes to the certification. With that, we have our first poll. So what I'd like for you to do is take a device, and you need to take maybe your mobile phone, or if you have a tablet, go to the website pollev.com and /GeorgeBridge369 and answer the question. And as soon as you answer the question, we'll be able to see your answers right on the screen. So how much experience do you currently have with data analytics? So let's see who's going to be the first one up. We should have a prize for the first person that gets their answer in, but we didn't do that this time. So please log in with your mobile phone or some other device if you're using your mobile phone, and give us some feedback.
I'll send them a chocolate, George.
Oh, you'll send them a chocolate? Okay. All right. So we'll give it, now once you get this logged in, and once you get logged in and you respond, we're gonna have some other questions, so it won't take as long. The next time you can just go back to your browser to the same area, and then you'll see the question for the next one that we get to. All right, let's see what we have. No experience, looking to learn more. Okay, good. 6 months experience, wow, okay, fairly new. What else do we have? We got about 2 years, okay. Good, that's a good level. Pretty experienced with data mining and figuring out stuff based on data queries, probably 20 years, okay. We should have you teaching the class. Not much, a few years, but not recent. Okay, minimum experience, have done the HBSO business analytics course, and I'm curious. No experience yet. Okay, 0. Okay, so if we had a scale to look at, I would say we got probably most of you are going to be on the scale of probably less than 5 years, and quite a few people that have no experience at all. Good news is that in order to sit for the exam, you don't have to have the experience. Not like the CBAP or the CCBA, right? You don't have to have experience to apply for and sit for the exam. Now that's good and bad, but I think it's more good than bad. So that's something that you need to make sure you are aware of. You don't need to have past experience or show past experience. Right, so next. So we know that there are, or last time we surveyed, there were like top 8 business analyst certifications that are out there. We know the IIBA, the ECBA, CCBA, the CBAP, you got the Agile, and we got the CBDA, which is fairly new. It came out late last year, middle of last year. I know one person that got it before me, and then I got it in June of this year. And then some other certifications that's not part of the IIBA are shown there. IQBBA, Certified Foundation Level Business Analyst. IREB, Certified Professionals for Requirements Engineering, and then PMI Professional in Business Analysis, PMI PBA, which I have certifications for that. So I have the PBA certification and the CBDA certification, as well as the PMP certification. All right, certification. Why would you want to get certification, or what is it? What's a certification in business data analytics? Well, by getting that, you're going to earn the certification. It informs the people that you're working for about your passion for and competency regarding business analysis on analytic initiatives. That's kind of an important thing to look at. It's business analysis on analytics initiative. You're not looking to be a data analyst or a data scientist. You're looking to perform business analysis on analytics type initiatives, which is important. Now, with that, the certification helps you to identify or help your manager or your company identify skills that the business data analytics professional needs in the organization that's seeking in-demand skills. So this certification then is going to help you to get those skills that might be needed by your organization. And different organizations are in different spots in terms of, or different levels in terms of what they need as far as data analytics. But we know that, that's a growing area for all of us. Not just business analysis, but project management, other professionals are being highly impacted by data and data analytics. So we're going to look at our part from a business analysis standpoint. What is our part in this whole area of proliferation of data, analyzing data, and being able to give our organizations benefit from the data analysis that we're able to help them to perform. All right, so when we look at top 5 benefits of business analysts that provides analytics teams is one, if we look here at the business analyst professional who have the skills to effectively perform on business data analytics initiatives, contribute to their teams in various ways, including and providing the ability to, one, translate business problems into questions that analytics can answer. Now that's important because we have to start, when you're doing analytics, you need to start with the question. What question are you trying to answer? I think for the most part, we try to go to the answer first and then figure out the question. But we need to do it right. We need to look at the questions, and then we need to find out where we're going to get the data from in order to answer the question. So the first thing we do is to translate the business problem into questions. And we know, being a business analyst, you start with the need, the problem, identify the problem and the solution. Then you develop the requirements that give you the gap between the problem and the solution. And so what we're looking at then is how to translate those business problems into analytics, right? Providing maybe the senior management, mid-level management, or supervisors with dashboards and with reports real time that will help them to make actionable decisions. Use analytics results to identify viable options, right? So a lot of times if there's a decision to be made, what's the best option? We can use analytics for that, and business analytics will help you to do that. Explain technical results to non-technical stakeholders, right? So it can help us with the visualization aspect of it. It can help us to get our point across in a visual manner, which would help people that are maybe not technical in the area that we're looking at. The visualization helps us with being able to paint a picture and tell a story. And also it can help us as we're working with our clients and working with the people that's in our organization, right? It helps us to develop an empathy with them, right? We want to be able to find out what their needs are. We want to put ourselves in their shoes and then help them to solve the problems that they are working with and working on. There's one good example of how analytics was used by a company, and we all know about the company called UPS. UPS has the big brown trucks, and you see a lot of UPS drivers out there delivering packages on a regular basis. They did a study a few years back on left-hand turns, and they realized that it was costly to the organization to have their drivers to do left-hand turns. Now, they didn't minimize or get rid of the left-hand turns, but they created a system where they provided the routes for their drivers to make more right-hand turns than left-hand turns. The problem with left-hand turns is that, one, you're turning into ongoing traffic, which slows you down. A lot of accidents happen when you're making left-hand turns, right? And so, and the time to get to the location seems to be a lot longer. So after they did the study using data, they realized that they could save lots of money and save time by routing their drivers in a way that it minimized the number of left-hand turns. So that's just one example of how analytics can help organizations and businesses. it helps you to look for those things that perhaps may not necessarily be intuitive, right? May not necessarily be something that you would really see on the surface, but digging into the data can reveal some insights that you probably wouldn't have if you did not analyze the data. And that's what the benefits are. I've used analytics a lot in my profession, being a operations research analyst for different companies and working in industrial engineering. We had to use data in order to look for efficiencies in simulating manufacturing processes and production processes and product development. And so analytics has been a big part of my career. So it's not anything that's new. Perhaps the title or the profession that I was in had a different name, but some of the same elements existed in that profession, right? Why should you become a CBDA certified? I always look at certification. My personal opinion about certification is that you should always look for the return on investment, right? Don't do anything unless there's a return on investment, or you can, calculate the return on investment for yourself, right? What is the return on investment? You're going to spend time and money, right? Are you going to get initial benefits from it? Maybe, right? Is it going to help you in your career in the long run? What kind of impact will it have on your salary over time, right? Is it going to have a positive impact? Do you know what that impact is going to be, right? One of the benefits for me is I'm a trainer, and because I'm a trainer or a consultant, it helps me to have the certification. So I get an immediate payback for the time invested in getting the certification, right? So for you, it may be something different, right? You may be competing with others for different jobs, different opportunities, and having that certification will actually help you to stand out. So having the certification, I think, is very important. And we know the trend is going towards big data, data analytics. That's what's happening in the marketplace right now, and you're hearing a lot about that. If you look at certain research papers and look at certain articles about this field, you realize that a lot of professionals will be impacted by it. And the article that I read that mentioned that a lot of managers will probably not be prepared for this type of environment where they are going to be they're going to be needed more for the purpose of being able to take information, take data, and be able to make decisions from it. So it's something that we all are going to have to get used to and all going to have to start to adjust to. I mean, we do it every day now. We don't think about it. Think about all the information you get on your mobile phone and the decisions that you have to make, right? You're bombarded with information, and you're bombarded with choices that you have to make. And so we're already used to that, but think about it in terms of something that would help you on your job, help you to do a better job, or help your company to do a better job for the things that they do. So we want to look at the benefits. So a recent article ranked business analytics amongst the most in-demand hard skills of 2019, along with analytical reasoning. So we see and we know that there is a tremendous benefit for the certification. All right, so we're going to talk about now, at this point, the exam information. So one of the areas the guide or the blueprint for the exam is called the Guide to Business Data Analytics. And at this point, we're going to have actually Dr. Sharma to go over this. So if you would please, Dr. Sharma, I'll run the controls while you speak.
Yeah, sure, George. Thank you. So yeah, welcome everyone again. So for this exam information, like for the CBDA exam, actually, it is pertaining to the 6 blueprint domains, which is discussed in Guide to Business Data Analytics. And the very first domain itself is identify the research question, because every time, like what problem we are trying to solve, like why if we're doing some analysis also, it always goes behind that business problem we are trying to solve, and what kind of questions can be find or can be identified for that. So 20% of the content for this exam is from identify the research question, which is a domain first. The second domain is source data. Okay, we have identified the problem, we have identified, okay, what questions can be asked, but next is, what is the source of the data? So 15% of the content will be for source data, which is domain 2. Domain 3 is analyze data, and 16% of the content for the exam will be from analyzing the data. All right, the domain fourth, which consists of 20% of the content is from interpret and report results. We have identified the problem, we have found the data, we have analyzed the data, but how to interpret and report the results, because that's a very essential part. Again, we have found the results, but how we are going to present it to our stakeholders. So this domain 4 covers 20% of the content for the exam, which is again very important. The domain 5 covers use results to influence business decision making, to convert those results into action so that business decision makers can take the action on the basis of those results, and covers 20% of the content. And domain 6 and the last domain covers 9%, which is guide organization level strategy for business analytics. So the exams come from all these 6 domains, which are the blueprint domains as per the Guide to Business Data Analytics by IIBA. An exam consists of 75 multiple choice scenario-based questions, which need to be completed in 2 hours. And for the sample questions, you can go to IIBA website in the CBDA, exam CBDA section, where you can find out those sample questions, and you can self-assess. You can find out, okay, you can see like how much you know about that. So we have added few of the samples here. George, go to the next, please. So the first sample question is, it's pretty simple. Like, if you see like, this is very simple question within a public health data set, 96% of the observations describe 35-year-old man. Which inference is a valid statement? So just like in this case, the 4 options are given to you and you have to find out the best answer. To the next, please. So the answer here is age and gender features can be eliminated. So similarly for the sample question 2, it's again, an analyst is building a dashboard for the senior executive team. Which of the following, if added, would add context and commentary? So again, the 4 options are given to you, and the answer here is, go to the next, please. Narrative, which includes the content and commentary. So if you see, these 2 questions are pretty simple. Let us go to the next sample. So if you see, this question is a bit lengthy and you have to read it thoroughly if you're going to answer this question. And similarly, George, can you go to the next question as well, please? Yeah. So if you see this question, this is pretty much lengthy. Like, this is more scenario based. If you see, like, it's a kind of a small story which you have to understand pretty well, and then to find out, okay, what can be the best answer for this? So for example, in this question, the question is about like which technique can be used to validate the model for the accuracy. So we are talking about to validate the model for a predictive model, okay, the accuracy of that predictive model for a particular business problem, which a sales manager is trying to, analyze, or trying to, is telling his team to find out for him. So again, for these kind of question, it's a bit more lengthy, it's more scenario based. You have to read it thoroughly and then to find out the answer for this. So we have added these 4 kind of samples, but you can go to the website, IIBA website, in the CBDA section, and find out a little more questions and get more idea like what kind of questions can become in the exam, and how much you know to test your knowledge. Yes, go to the next, please. Yeah. So for the exam, actually, there are many resources, for the certification, but these 3, which we feel are the must read, and everybody should read it very carefully. The first one is Guide to Business Data Analytics from the CBDA, from the IIBA, and the 6 blueprints which I have specified in the previous slide from where the exam will come is from this guide. The second is HBR Guide to Data Analytics Basics for Managers. And the last one is Data Science for Business, which includes, predictive modeling, data mining, data analytics, and other aspects of data, as well as machine learning for beginners. It's by Herbert John, and pretty good books. So these 3 are must read for this exam, but there are other, essential stuff is given to in the terms of books on the website as well. And along with these books and the guide, there are some other online references, which you can look into, and we feel like these I have added here, which are very important. So just like Introduction to Data Analysis Handbook and Data Storytelling, etc. So you can go to the essential reading section of the CPTA exam section in the IIBA website, and you can look for more references for the preparation. But these are, again, the must-read references, online references for the exam.
Okay.
All right. So yeah. So back to George George, I think.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
All right. So going back to the must-reads, the Guide to Business Data Analytics, you can get that off the website. If you're a member of the IIBA, you can get that guide in electronic version. The Data Analytics Basics for Managers, you can get that both in electronic and hard copy. All right. And then the Data Science for that one for business, that's also hard copy as well as soft copy as well. I use these for my preparation for the exam, and then I use a number of the various references. These references were, some of them were given by the IIBA on their website. So there's a whole host of references. So when you have a lot of references and you're preparing for the exam, you kind of wonder, okay, which ones are really going to be the ones that I really need to pay attention to and study. So for sure, you're going to need to have these books and read these books, right? There's not going to be a way around that. There are some articles, and I would say go through each one of these, make notes and, jot notes down, jot key points down in regards to the material, but kind of relate it back to your guide to business data analytics and where that might fit into the guide. Right, so tips for prep and exam day. So I'm going to talk about prep first, and then I'm going to talk about exam day. All right, for prep, I would say one of the things you want to do is, first of all, give yourself some time to prepare for the exam. I liken these professional exams like a 3-hour course in a university, right? Three credit hour course. So in a 3 credit hour course, usually if there's like quarters, usually 2 to 3 months to prepare for the exam, minimum, right? Depends on your skill and your background, but I would say you're gonna need some time to prepare for the exam. Give yourself time to prepare for the exam. Read that study guide at least 3 times. So the guide from the IIBA, also my, tip from me as far as certification is concerned, I learned that getting the PMP, is that anytime you have a BOC or a guide, you want to go through it at least 3 times. And there's different ways you go through it. You don't go through it on a detailed read every time. You go through it with a very light read on the first one, just going through, scanning the document itself. Then you go back with a more thorough read after that. Then your last read, you're going to be taking notes and making and jotting down key concepts and ideas. So make sure you go through, and I would say read it. When I say read it, the first time, I mean read every single word. Now, that's kind of hard sometimes because you're looking at it, you don't understand it. That's not the point. You need to see every word. You need to read it. Don't try to think about it. Just read it. All right. Go through it the first time. Next.
Are there study sheets of any kind that they should fill out, or that we should fill out maybe to help us, write and cement it all down that way too?
Well, my optional I give you is I say build a mind map of the study guide.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Right. So at one time, let me tell you what happened as far as my experience with mind map. I didn't like mind map when I first saw it. It was like, what am I going to do with this? This is a waste of time. It's tedious, blah, 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 blah. And I was teaching a class in the Middle East, and I had a guy who, he would go home after the class. We had a 5-day class. He would go home after class, and he would do a mind map, and he'd bring it back. And that was kind of impressive. He would take every section. Let's take every section of CBAP. You take your knowledge area, strategy analysis. You do a mind map of the strategy analysis. Do a mind map of solution evaluation. All right, that's cool. Build a mind map. All right. So still, I mean, it was impressive. But when I studied for one of the certifications, I did mind maps, and I'll tell you, it made a tremendous difference in my recall of significant information. You'll be surprised. It is very tedious sometimes, but the benefits of it is that somehow it works the way your brain works, and the recall is absolutely fantastic. All right, so you got to learn how to do mind mapping. I would suggest, especially if you got a lot of material. you know, like the material you're going to get for any of these certifications. Lots of material out there. Mind mapping can help you do that. Now, some people like to say, well, can I get a mind map from someone else and read their mind map? No, someone else's mind map is not going to help you as much as you doing your own mind map, you know? So you do your own mind map, create it, be colorful with it, be creative with it, put pictures in there, right? Do something that's going to help you to remember the material without writing the sentences, right? Take practice exams, right? Just like, you know, if you studied for the CBAP or you studied for the CCBA or ECBA, practice exams are always good. Right now, there's not a lot out there, but they're being built, right? We do have something that we're going to share with you that you can test yourself out. We're going to be building more practice exams because we know that there's a need to have these practice exams for people who are studying for this particular this certification. Right? Read the HBR data analytics books. When you go back to this book here, in terms of being, I would say, relevant and also practical, that is probably one of the most practical books I've ever read in regards to data analytics. I mean, it is good. You want to, and it's one that you want to carry around with you, one that you want to have in the library. It's one that you want to, if you're on a plane or somewhere on a long trip or whatever, you want to have this book. It is a good book, right? So I would suggest that. The other one I think will fill in the blanks, but that data analytics basis for managers is a real good book. So I would suggest that in terms of that next one, read that HBR data analytics books, right? Use that as a reference. Read and do, well, here's another key thing about the exam that some people may feel challenged by statistics, right? Some people may not be statistically inclined, depending on your background and depending on your experience with statistics. But you're going to have to know statistics for the exam. Now, you don't have to be an expert, but you need to know statistics. So I would suggest that you read and do a statistical book or tutorial. You might want to do a tutorial, read a statistics book, right? Go through it, you know, and read through it. You don't need to be an expert, but you need to know, you know, terminology. You need to know certain aspects like descriptive statistics, what things are used for. If someone gives you a regression analysis or maybe time series, how are those things used in business? How they're used in practice? So you need to have a tutorial on statistics as well. All right. So I suggest you do that. Don't panic. Don't freak out over it. Right? You can do it. You can get it. You don't have to be an expert at it. You're not going to have any calculations. You're not going to have any statistical calculations. You're not going to have any formulas, but you're going to have to recognize the concepts from statistics and how they can be applied. And you'll see that when you take the exam and look at some of the questions. So that's it for the preparation. Give yourself some time, 2 to 3 months. And as far as the exam day, right, one of the things that this is a proctored exam in that you will take it from whatever your location is, your office or your home. But they're going to ask that you clear the room. They're going to want nothing on the walls, no papers around, nothing laying around that would indicate that you can actually look at answers to questions that they may put up on the exam. So your room is going to be inspected. Your office or place where you take the exam is going to be inspected. They will have you to take your laptop with the camera, right? And they're going to have you to scan that room. That could be somewhat intimidating, but you're going to have to do it. They're going to want to have you to take your camera and show your camera under the table. If you've never taken a proctored exam, which I had never taken one until then, it might be a little bit intimidating, but you're going to have to get used to it. So someone is going to be watching you the whole time, right? They don't want you to look up at the ceiling, right? They'll ask you to look into the camera, because if you're looking up the ceiling, they think you might be looking at, I guess, answers on the wall. Okay, so that's kind of critical as well, right? They're going to want to see your hands, you know. So anyway, that's this tedious. So you got to get past that though, right? You don't want that to hinder you from concentrating on doing the exam, right? Log in at least 1 hour before, because you don't know if you're going to have a bad connection. If one of the things I had was I had to struggle to find the email that had all the contact information to log in. and it might get buried somewhere in all of your emails, and then you're getting ready to take the exam, and you try to find that, and you got 30 minutes before you need to be online. You're going to start to panic because you're going to be behind time and you're going to get nervous. So log in at least 1 hour before. Make sure you keep the instructions on how to log in. Make sure you keep that handy. Now, when you're taking the exam itself, read the questions carefully and choose the best answer. Neeraj showed you some of the questions, and you need to have some study tips on or exam tips on how to read and answer those questions. On those long questions, like the one that was shown, the last two, read the question, read the last sentence and find out what they're asking first, and then go back and read the other material. Right? You can't afford to spend too much time on any one question. Right? If you can't get the answer in the question within a minute and a half, or whatever, you need to move on. Now, some you're going to be able to get an answer right away. Others you may spend a little bit more time on. But the important thing is that you're going to have to answer every question. So you're going to have to manage your time when it comes to answering the questions. If question is long, read the last sentence first and then understand what they are asking for. Make sure you know what are they asking for. Right? Look for the question itself. Only spend an allocated amount of time on each question, as I indicated earlier. Okay. All right. So this is the tips for the prep and exam day. One of the things that happened with me was that I had planned to take it, and I think it was either March or April. Then COVID hit. And then I pushed it back a little bit later. Something else came up in my life. Finally, I just buckled down and said, you know what? I'm going to take this thing in June. So I took it in June, but I think I switched the dates or changed the dates at least 2 or 3 times. And you can have the exam rescheduled as long as you have them reschedule it within a certain time window. I think you got about 48 hours. So if your exam is scheduled, if you do the reschedule before the 48 hours, you can get them to reschedule exam, and usually they'll usually grant you that waiver to retake the exam, or not retake it, but take it at a later time and reschedule it. Right. So with that, set a date though. Make sure you set a date. And get that date and sign up for it. That's going to be your motivation to take the exam once you set that date. You can always move the date if you feel that you're not ready to take the exam. And I think every time that I came close to my date, I felt like I wasn't ready. I felt like I hadn't read enough material. I felt like I hadn't taken enough sample questions or sample exam questions. So that's just going to be human nature on that. But if you go through the material that we were talking about, I think you should be in good shape. The other thing that we're suggesting is that you take our workshop. Now, in the questions that you saw that Neeraj showed you, Dr. Sharma showed you, there was no reference back to the content or material. So when we get into the course itself, we will be referencing back to be able to show you, okay, this is where this answer came from. This is the content or material that we got this answer from. So you want to have that. And then with a study group, you get to practice, you get to work with other people, you get to talk to other people, and that helps with the retention of the information. And you know what you need to study for and not waste a lot of time on things that you're not going to be tested on. That's the benefit of having a study group, is to be able to do that. So here's another question on Poll EV. If you would, please, how soon do you want to take the CBDA exam? So let's say, for instance, you want to take 30 days or less, A. If you want to take it within 2 to 3 months, B. So pick the one and let's see what we come up with. So we'll give you a few minutes to do that. When do you think you might want to take the exam? Okay.
Kind of everybody grabbing there in the middle, aren't they?
Yeah. So it looks like the biggest one is no sooner than 6 months. So within the next 6 months, you got some that'll do 2 or 3 months. You got a few that's going to do 30 days. Some are not sure at all. All right. But the big group now is, I'd say, 6 months. For those of you that's doing it in 6 months, you got enough time. For those of you doing it in 2 or 3 months, you got enough time. 30 days, you're going to really need to push it fairly hard in order to get, unless you've already started to study for it. If you already started to study for it, 30 days may be nothing for you. All right. So the other thing is that you're not going to be tested on coding. programming in R or something like that. You won't be testing on things like that when you get the exam and take the exam. All right, so the big group then is, we could say, is 6 months or less, right? We got 2 to 3 months and 30 days. All right, here's the next question here. Oops. How do you want to prepare for the exam? Okay, the CBDA boot camp is different from the study group. Study group is what we're going to do next month. Right, the boot camp is a concentrated 3 days for the exam. Right, so you do it all at one time.
Looks like we got a clear winner on that one.
Study group. Yeah. All right. All right, if you want to find out about a boot camp, let me know. If we got one person, or no, this looks like we got maybe one person that might be interested in a boot camp. All right.
And I did put in the chat earlier, I'll put it in there again, the registration page to the upcoming study group.
Okay, all right. All right, I think everybody voted here. I think everybody's good. All right, so that's it for what we were going to share with you. And right now, we're just going to open up to question and answers, please.
Does anybody have any questions for George and Dr. Sharma? They're the ones that are going to be leading the study group coming up next month. So if you got questions about that study group or about the certification itself, you can either mute yourself and ask with your voice. You could type down on the bottom of your window there is a Q&A about 2 blocks over from the chat. If you want to type it in that Q&A, we can feed that to George and Dr. Sharma.
Oh, I see a great one that says, can we get some more practice questions? That's in the chat.
Well, I'm going to give you a link to get practice questions, but again, they only have about 8 practice questions on the IIBA site. Most of the time when you look at these simulations, usually there is going to be some type of fee for a simulation. Watermark does simulations. They haven't created the one for the CBDA yet, but I'm going to give you a link in a moment that will give you some sample questions, and we'll be developing more sample questions as we go through. When you do the exam, or not the exam, when you do the workshop, we'll have some additional practice questions for you in the workshop when we do the workshop. So those are two things. One, the workshop will have more practice questions. 2 is I'm going to give you a link that you can use to practice. In that link, when you go to that link, you'll get the chance of being able to go through it's a quiz. You can go through it at least 3 times. So if you feel like you didn't do well on the first time, you can do it again. So we'll have that available for you as well, okay?
I see another question that says, how does the CBDA compare to the CDMP?
I don't know, what's the CDMP?
It's apparently it is a certification that is based on the data management body of knowledge, the data management BOK.
So no, I'm not familiar with that one, so I can't really answer that question.
Okay.
Yeah. I can say this is that if it's data management, then it's probably more technical in terms of data and data mapping, data mining, and that type of thing. But yeah, that's the way I see it. So
it might be more specific to almost like how to build a data warehouse or something. Yeah. Yes.
But again, I'm not familiar with it, so I'm giving you my not informed opinion on that one.
Okay, and someone else has asked, what is the pass mark for a CBDA exam?
Interesting enough, and I think Aaron and you, Kathy, could probably answer that question. They're not going to tell us.
Yeah, they're secretive about that. I mean, I think they tell you on the AAC, but that's the only one I've ever heard of where they give you any kind of a idea at all. And, for example, when I took the CBAP, all they did was, they said, your grade will be coming up next. And then, it tells me, it just says pass. And then, I went home and it gave me a little more detailed on whether I was higher or comparable in each of the knowledge areas, but no numbers, no percentage, no nothing.
not very much information. And that's the way IIBA is going to be on most of their certifications, if not all of them, is basically you're going to get a pass or a fail. And they won't tell us what the passing grade is. You know, is it 70%? Is it 50%? Or, you know, I assume somewhere in between those two. But
who knows?
The assumption on that is that it's based on a curve, as you know, in terms of if you had 100 people, how well are the 100 people? How well are they doing? So it can change based on that. I know the first group out, I know one of the ladies that took it, she walked away and she felt like she just bombed it, but she ended up passing it. But that was the first one out. So I'm sure they made some adjustments after that, but you know, she didn't feel comfortable about it at all, you know. So we can tell you, you know, what we know and what kinds of questions you're going to get and what you need to concentrate on. But we can't tell you what percentage you're going to have. I think even PMI almost stopped doing that as well for the PMP certification. At one time, they had it at about, I think it was about 70%, and then it went down to 67%, and then they stopped telling you what it was. So, you know, you don't know.
Yeah. Someone else has asked, can we use this chapter event as professional development?
That's up to you guys, Aaron and Kathy.
Yes, it will qualify as professional development for the, well, you don't even need professional development hours for the business data analytics.
That's right.
Certification. It will qualify as professional development for your core IIBAs like the CBAP.
Right.
And that, so, and you would log it, it doesn't log in the knowledge area as professional development hours. You would log it as a chapter event or under professional development, and then chapter event and study group, I believe is the way it is registered. Now you do registered under for CDUs, continuing development units, to retain a current certification. It also qualifies for CDU. So if you do have the CDBA certification, you can take this study group to retain that certification. And then you would log it under the 6 knowledge areas that Dr. Sharma went through earlier.
The 6 domains, yeah.
This webinar will count as one PD hour for the ECBA. Yes, it will. So you will get a email tomorrow with your CDU and PD hour information on that. So that'll be coming and it'll have the information you need to log that as a PD hour for your ECBA exam or CDUs for any IIBA exam.
Will these slides be available to the attendees as well, so we can, you know, consult them again in case?
Yeah, you can. They will be available to you. Let me do a couple of things here, which I had meant to do earlier. I'm going to put this link to the quiz. I'll put that in the chat if I can do that real quickly. Let me copy that. Go to the chat. Where is my chat now? It's hiding. There it is. All right. So this is someone, if you want to practice, exam questions, right? So do this one here. All right. I can send you the PDF, or if I can upload the PDF now, you can get the PDF of this particular session. So Aaron,
George, if you send that to me today, I can get it in tomorrow's email.
Okay, I'll get that to you then. That's fine. Yep, we'll do that.
And PDF is fine.
Okay.
In fact, it's preferred.
Okay. So I put a link in there for the Flex quiz. Just log into that. It'll ask you for your name, email address, and then you can go through. I think there's, in this one that you're going to take, there's like 15 questions. So to give you an idea of the different kinds of questions that you might get. So.
All right.
Okay.
So
And
this,
sorry, contact
ahead,
information. Sorry, contact information. If you want to find out more about what we're doing at the Southeast Michigan chapter, that's our website, Facebook, email me, email Neeraj, and then also the link for the quiz. Sorry, Aaron, go ahead.
Yes, this webinar will also count as one CDU, I think, for any IIBA certification. So that information will be on tomorrow's follow-up email. I once again put in the link to the registration page for the upcoming study group for those that want to follow through on this and go ahead and register. I mentioned earlier when George was talking about the guide to business data analytics from IIBA. IIBA members can download a soft copy of that as a member benefit directly from the IIBA website. If you are not a member of IIBA or you want a physical copy and you live in the United States of America, if you take the upcoming study group, we give you opportunity to purchase that guide to business data analytics during registration. There's an added cost that is set by IIBA, not us. So when you see the cost, not our fault. Disclaimer. Were there any other questions? Did you get out of this what you came for today? We still got most of the group still here with you. So Dr. Sharma, George, thank you very much for providing this and giving us a little promo into the upcoming study group. I hope a lot of people take the study group and go for their business data analytics certification. And you know, if you need any additional information, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to George. You know, we'll be glad to answer your questions.
Right.
Thank yous in the chat now. So yeah.
Well, we hope to see you next month in the work group, our workshop. So thank you very much, guys, in the study group.
So what date does that begin?
Starts January 5th.
That's right.
7th, 12th.
Yes.
And 14th.
Cool.
And 14th.
Yes.
So it's the Tuesday and the Thursday of the first 2 weeks of January.
Yeah.
So it'll fit in with everyone's New Year's resolutions. That'll be good.
That's right.
It's 3 hours each evening. It's evening sessions here in Eastern United States.
Yes.
So, all right. I'm not seeing any additional questions. Again, Dr. Sharma, George, Kathy, thank you very much. Really appreciate it and looking forward to the study group.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan.
Bye, everybody.
Everyone.
Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.